You know, as you get older, driving can become a pain in the neck, the shoulders, the back, the legs. Well, you get what I'm talking about, right? Now, the thing is, there are over 6 million drivers in the UK at the moment who are over the age of 70. In fact, there's more than 1.5 million who are actually over the age of 80. But as I've said, as people get older, you know, your body does start to play up a little bit. You know, it does start to feel a little bit stiffer, not as flexible, not as giving, not as pliant as it used to be. You know, if you stay fit, you stay healthy, you stay active, then that's great. Then maybe you can stave off some of these symptoms. But for most people, it's kind of how it gets, you know. And this is often why older people won't get like low-slung sports cars, because it just becomes a chore even to just get in and out of them. Although if it's a good one, I'd still pull up with it anyway. Anyway, the fact is the discomfort, stiffness, back pain, these are common complaints amongst these older motorists. But according to GEM Motoring Assist, the GEM is the road safety breakdown guys, they don't have to be. And even the tiniest adjustments inside your car whilst you're driving could make a world of difference to those aches and pains and your general comfort behind the wheel. So in this video, just a quick one, I'm just going to talk about some of the tips and advice that they're giving in order to how to feel better when you're driving around, especially maybe on the longer journeys as well. So stay tuned.
A brown car guy.
So the thing to remember is that our bodies are designed to move, not to be locked into one position for interminably long periods of time. So particularly if you're doing long journeys or whatever, you know, 2 hours plus, and you're in one position the whole time, you got to remember that your body is not really designed to do that. The body is designed to move around, to get up and walk around, stretch your legs, stretch your arms, you know, your back and all the rest of it. So GEM, for example, recommends that setting a maximum driving time is probably a good idea, so that you know you're not just you need to know where your limits are. Maybe that's 1 hour, maybe that's half an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, you know, but set a maximum driving time and say, well, you know what, after that time I'm gonna have to take a break. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, you're gonna find somewhere to stop, somewhere safe to stop, and you're gonna take a break. Small adjustments can make big improvements. So for example, just moving your seat forward a little bit or backwards a little bit could ease pressure on your body and improve your comfort. Just that change of position could make things, obviously make sure that you're safe. If you move it too far back and you can't reach the steering wheel or whatever properly, then that becomes an issue. Make sure that I always like to sit quite upright. I've always done this, even like from way back. So I generally sit quite upright in the back, so I don't like this whole, you know, cool kid, laid back driving position, one arm up there on the steering, you know. I've never understood that. I was always a fan of rallying when I was younger. Not doing it, but watching it. And I did notice how the top rally drivers would generally be sitting like this, and I'd be like, why are they sitting so close? And that's because they would get the maximum leverage and movement on the steering wheel. And best driving positions are, you know, with your elbow slightly bent. So if that's the steering wheel, your elbow bent about, you know, that much. That's generally how it should be. And for somebody like me, that often means sitting more upright anyway, because I have longer legs. So longer legs, I generally have to move the seat further back, but then so I want to bring the seat back forward a little bit and upright so that I have a good position on the steering wheel. But anyway, just moving your seat back and forward, you know, they can make a long journey feel less punishing because they've just varied your movement a little bit. So one of the experts says that as we age, natural changes can lead to back and neck pain, stiffness, reduced flexibility. Some people will really feel this after a drive and others maybe not so much, but either way, the key is not to suffer in silence, is to do something about it. And he says, this expert at GEM, the important thing is to do something about it and not just to assume that it's something that you just have to put up with or to live with, right? So I'm going to get into some tips that they've given. So this is the advice, the general tips and advice that they've given on what you should be doing. Before I do that, make sure that you've hit like, share, subscribe, and definitely share this video to anybody you think might find it useful, because it could be quite helpful. And you know what? Support independent journalism channels like mine. You can do that by subscribing at patreon.com, ko-fi.com, and also right here you can take out a membership on this YouTube channel, and that would also help. Or I've got 3 books out at the moment. Check them out. The first is a all-action novel. It's a thriller. It's set in London. It's all about the war on cars. It's called The Ulysses. PDF files. The second one is a compilation of 13 short stories that I've written over 20 years related to cars, to science fiction, and the general human condition. And the third one, which came out this year, is a how-to guide. It's all about doing what I do. So if you or anybody you know is thinking about getting into content creation around particularly automotive, but even generally speaking, then this book would be quite helpful to them. All of these are available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. Go check them out. Links are below. If you like them, leave a review. If you don't like them, don't leave a review. So as promised, here's the tips that Jem has issued. The first one is self-help is the best starting point. Adjust your seat and steering wheel to ensure a supportive and upright position with a slight bend in the arm. So exactly what I've been talking about. That's the ideal position. You'll see a lot of racing drivers adopt it. Don't go by Formula One cars because Formula One drivers are literally lying flat. You know, they're almost like they're up like in a recliner position like that. That's not ideal. I know they have to be incredibly fit because they're doing about 2 hours like that in the car. That's a whole different scenario. But if you generally look at more normal racing cars, rally cars, touring cars, and stuff like that, you're generally sitting upright with good leverage on the steering wheel. This is a good, comfortable position, especially if you're going to spend a long time in it. If you're in any sort of discomfort on a journey, pull over somewhere safe and legal. Get out of the car. Straighten any clothing which may have twisted, and get the correct trouser belt position so it doesn't pull your lower back when you're in the driving seat. I also remove anything large from pockets, including wallets and phones, particularly from back pockets. I'm quite guilty of this. I tend to leave my wallet, not that my wallet's got anything in it, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I tend to leave it in the back pocket, and that can be uncomfortable. But this belt position thing is actually quite new. I never knew that before. It's the first time I've seen this, where they suggest, you know, making sure that your belt is positioned correctly around your waist, so it's not tugging at your back as you're sort of, you know, maybe sloping down in the seat a little bit, or moving down the seat a little bit. And come to think of it, I do often find myself just sort of readjusting the seat belt and then just readjusting my actual trouser belt as well, or jean belt, often to get more comfortable. So I guess this is something that I do naturally, but I hadn't really thought about it in terms of tips until I read it here, and actually it makes perfect sense to me. So yeah, check the clothing. Also, like jackets, when it's colder, we tend to be wearing a lot of layers, a lot of jackets. Our movement sometimes can be quite restricted. And again, try and set a comfortable temperature in the car so you don't have to wear that much, because on a longer journey, you want a little bit of flexibility and movement. Obviously, sometimes it can't be helped in extreme cold environments, but generally try and do that. But if you have to wear clothing, then make sure that it is loose enough and gives you enough movement and flexibility so that your body is not being pulled or stretched or held in an uncomfortable position. Use lumbar support or a small cushion to support your lower back. Now, most modern cars have built-in lumbar support. Some of them are even electronic, so you can just, and some, if you really lucky, if you get some nice executive level cars, you can get built-in massage. You know what? Use those. Use those. You may think that a lot of them are gimmicky, and some of them are, but you know what? It's better than nothing. And whenever I'm in a test car or press car which has got massage seats, I'll often just turn them on, because hey, why not? It's there. And a little bit of compression and kneading and what have you on your back, it can't hurt, right? But anyway, lumbar support, make sure that it's comfortable. Make sure if it's not comfortable in your existing car, get like a cushion or something. You can buy these on Amazon. You can also buy things like these beads and stuff on Amazon, which some people find, I don't find them comfortable, but some people do find them quite comfortable and helpful. If your vehicle has seat heating, use it to ease any muscle discomfort. This is interesting, but if you think about it, that also makes a lot of sense. I'd never thought about this before, so again, another eye-opener for me. But I have had back pain in the past, and sometimes I've used those heat pads. You can buy these heat pads at Boots and what have you, and you just stick them on your back, and over quite a few hours they stay quite warm. And I found them to be tremendously helpful in terms of just easing pain. And I think that actually this follows that sort of logic, where if you have a car with heated seats, particularly I guess those ones where the heated element is in the back of the seat, not so much. I don't like the ones where it's only in the seat base, because then you just feel like you wet yourself. Especially the ventilation ones, but particularly if the heating elements are in the seat back, then that actually I think would be quite useful. So there's another bit of advice. If it has seat heating and you're feeling uncomfortable, try turning that on. Maybe that will help you relax your muscles in the back. Now, of course, if all of that isn't helping you and you do still have serious concerns, your pain is just not going away, it's whatever you're doing, it's just not helping, you know what? It might be time to visit your doctor. I know you can't get to see a doctor these days, but you know what I mean? Jump on the system or patches or whatever you've got and go on there. And normally what will happen is a doctor probably won't see you, but they'll probably refer you to somebody that will see you, probably a physiotherapist or somebody like that, that'll be able to look at your back and recommend some exercises and stuff like that that would help you. Finally, and this is, I guess, is the nuclear option here, is that think about the fact that maybe your car just isn't right for you. You know, and as I mentioned earlier on in this video, when we get older people tend to not want to go for low-slung sports cars or smaller cars. And as much as people berate and hate SUVs, for a lot of people, sometimes these SUVs are too high. So again, that becomes an issue because you have to pull yourself up into them. But a lot of MPVs and crossover level SUVs are at just the sort of right height where you can walk into it. And of course, that actually is the most comfortable thing, where you can just walk into a car rather than drop down into a car and then have to pull yourself out of it, or the higher car climb up into it and then drop out of it, sort of thing, you know. But if you have a car that's at the right sort of level, and it doesn't even have to be an SUV, you know, it can be something like a tall-bodied hatchback. Some of those actually will have that sort of thing because they'll have a higher roof, so you won't have to duck down so much, and again, less effort on your neck and what have you. But ultimately, yes, this is what I always say when you're choosing your next car. People ask me sometimes, you know, because I'm 6'1.5" with long legs, short torso, so I have this kind of body style, and they say, well, do you fit in the car? And I say, well, I do, or maybe I don't, but it might not apply to you, even though you might be the same height. It might apply to you because your body structure might be different. So if you're thinking of buying a car, new or used, an important element of that is to take it for an extended test drive, ideally, because when you're driving, when you're moving around, when you're doing all the things that you're driving, that's when you should be able to feel if it's comfortable for you or not. If you can't do that, you know, if they won't let you drive it, or there isn't a test demonstrator available, or it's a private seller and they don't have insurance to let you do that or whatever, then sit in the car for quite a while. Just sit in it, play with the controls, you know, move the gear lever, whatever, but just sit in it and just take your time and just really think about whether or not that car is comfortable for you. You know, just see how your back feels, how your shoulders feel. Are you getting enough support in the sides bolsters around your thighs, around your shoulders, around your back here? You know, just see if that's comfortable, because if there are difficult, even if it's not roof, the ceiling is not high enough, because if you notice problems even at that time, then for sure they're going to cause issues when you take that car on a long journey. So this is one way to do that. And if your current car is causing you problems, and again, if you're still not sure if it's your car or something else, then maybe try other people's cars or sit in other people's cars and see how they feel. But like I said, I mean, it is a nuclear option, but ultimately, if the car is not right for you and you can find alternatives that are, then maybe it's time to make that change and move into a different car altogether. Just wrapping this all up, simple stuff, simple, straightforward stuff that you can do to try and make yourself feel a bit better and to avoid some of those aches and pains whilst driving, particularly on longer journeys. And if it's still a problem, then A, go and see a doctor or a physiotherapist or whatever, or B, think about if the car is right for you or not. Don't put up with the pain. Address it, fix it, think about what you can do to improve the situation. It's important to stay mobile and active, but to do that, you need to be comfortable behind the wheel, particularly if you tend to do longer journeys. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found that useful. If you did, then make sure you hit like and leave a comment. And if you think it will help other people as well, which this should do, then make sure that you share it as well. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.